Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Oh, hello and welcome to today's episode of Need I Say Myrrh, the Christmas podcast. And today I am delighted to welcome Paul Carr as today's special guest. Hello, Paul.
Good afternoon, Adam. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you? Are you feeling festive?
I am, yes. It's a
That's
different.
good. That's good because we're talking about Christmas today. It'd be a shame if you weren't.
Well, I think when you're in ministry, you've been thinking about Christmas like about 4 months ahead with all
Yes.
your planning. So you're certainly in the mood long before everybody else, I think.
Yes. And sometimes do you find yourself losing some of that festive cheer a bit before Christmas, though? You get a bit fed up with Christmas around the 10th of December or something.
I don't know if I want to admit to that, but I think what I will say is by the time Christmas Day lunchtime comes and everything's over, I breathe quite a sigh of relief and crash.
Yeah.
It's a great joy, man. I love the opportunities within schools, within the community, within the church, but it does become quite draining
Mhm.
and tiring. So Christmas, I often think that Christmas Eve communion, late night communion, is my favorite service because it's all over.
Okay.
You can't do any more, can't buy any more, can't arrange any more. So
Mhm.
Christmas Eve communion is probably the highlight of my Christmas celebrations.
Okay. So that'd be a good point, I suppose, for you to introduce yourself and tell us where it is you are and where you're doing this Christmas Eve communion, and who you are and what you're up to.
Okay, so my name's Paul Carr. I'm the team rector or the area manager of the Billericay and Little Burster Team Ministry, which is in the Chelmsford Diocese. And obviously, from my accent, I'm not from Essex. I'm originally from Sunderland. So I'm a Mackem and proud of it. Um, but actually, Adam, I'm having said all I said about Christmas, I'm having my first Christmas off in 26 years
Wow. Okay.
because I'm going to be leaving the parish and moving to pastures new.
Okay.
And so I won't be doing Christmas this year. Well, not as a minister.
Yeah. Not the same way. So you've had 26 years then of consistent Christmas ministry. That's quite a long time.
Absolutely.
I'm doing my this will be my seventh Christmas this year, so I've got a way to catch up with you.
Oh, fledgling.
Yes. So I'm wondering then, as someone with all of that Christmas experience, what would be some of your highlights from those 26 years of Christmas
Dear
ministry?
me. Oh, I think school carol services never cease to give me great joy and fun, especially if families are present. You have a great fun with parents, especially who expect church to be boring.
Yeah.
And if you can make it quite interesting and exciting, I think that makes the difference. I'm infamous for one talk I've done called my Christmas jumper talk, which everybody remembers here in Billericay. I put on about 15 different Christmas jumpers. Each one tells part of the Christmas story. Take one off, have another one. Take one off, have another one. So that's been a highlight. I think everybody's talking about that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think as well things like toy services where we collect toys for families who've had to leave home very quickly and abruptly. We've done that for a number of years. That's been a great privilege to do. I set up a lunchtime carol service here a number of years ago. We get about 140 people who wouldn't want to come out on an evening, perhaps at local retailers and other things. That's been a great joy. Um, yeah, we set up Christmas Day lunches for those who are lonely,
Mhm.
families perhaps who don't have any immediate family. So a lot of it, I think, what has brought me great joy is, although it's a great joy ministering in a church, I think it's connecting with the
Mm.
community,
Yeah.
of the Christmas spirit of giving and sharing. So that's been probably one of the main things I think I've appreciated over the years.
Yeah. It's a great time as a church minister to be able to connect with the community in different ways and as you said, sometimes to surprise them with that church isn't necessarily as boring as they may have thought. And yeah, stuff with schools can always be a big encouragement, can't it?
Absolutely, and it's a time of year where people are open to the gospel.
Yeah. Hmm.
I mean, we do a Christmas Eve Christingle that we sort of introduced when I arrived here. and we get 700 on Christmas Eve. We've had to
Wow.
do 2 services of 300 plus, and it's just fabulous.
Yeah.
And people are excited about Christmas, but it's a reminder the real meaning of Christmas. And I've always prided myself, I have to say, in all of the Christmas events that I've led, assemblies and carol serves that I've spoken at with, particularly schools, I always speak about the Father of Christmas. I've never mentioned Santa Claus ever, and nobody's even noticed up until now,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and nobody's even batted an eyelid. And my
Yeah.
focus has always been on the Father of Christmas, the gift of Jesus.
Mhm.
That's the most
Yeah.
important part.
And we'll come back to the most important thing about Christmas in a bit. But I do have some other questions for you first. I'm asking every guest on this podcast, starting with, what is your favourite festive food?
I'm a dessert person,
Okay.
so my favorite Christmas food has to be Christmas pudding. But I'm a bit of a glutton when it comes to Christmas pudding, so it has to have ice cream, cream, and custard
All three together.
all together. It's the Trinity. I wouldn't say the Holy Trinity, but it's the
No.
Trinity of
Yes.
Christmas pudding dessert.
It's not a very good Trinitarian analogy. The
Not
ice
at all.
cream, the cream, and
I
it's not
suddenly
one to use in
realised
a
that's when I
sermon.
said,
But okay, that is quite a rich combination. And do you make your own Christmas puddings, or do you buy them?
I buy them. I wish I had the time to be able to do that. I mean, there is a tradition in the Church of England at the beginning of Advent where we call it Stir Up Sunday.
Mhm.
And there's a collect, a prayer that goes with that. And traditionally, years ago, that's when people did make their Christmas puddings. But no,
We're actually doing, even though we're not Anglicans, we're doing a stir up event here at Litchard. And by the time this goes out, it will have happened. In fact, a stir up event, people coming together to make Christmas puddings with a short festive talk. So there are some people still doing that. So a good thing to do.
impressive.
So if you're ever in the Bridgend area around Christmas, feel free to drop in, and you can join us in making a Christmas pudding. There we
You
go.
never know what happens.
You never know. There you go. So that's food. Let's talk about music. Your favourite non-religious Christmas song. You will have been to many carol services in your time and sung lots of carols, but I'm interested in, outside of that, your favourite non-religious Christmas song.
Well, this has been a really difficult choice, I have to say. I've got it down to three, but I think I'm going to make a decision as I speak. Uh,
Okay.
Deacon Blue, one of my favourite bands. Ricky Ross, the lead singer, has played at Emmanuel a couple of times, and they sing a song called "You'll Know It's Christmas," and it talks about the birth of Jesus and what the real meaning of Christmas is. Another singer favourite of mine called Paul Carr has a song "Thinking About You This Christmas," which is quite a jolly, easy listening sort of Christmas song. But there's an Irish singer called Paul Brady who has written a song called "Working at Christmas," and in this song he mentions clergy working, and he also mentions prison officers. And before I was ordained, I was a prison officer.
Okay.
Um, and it's the only song I've ever heard where somebody mentions clergy and prison officer in the same song as people who work at Christmas. So I'm
Mm.
going to go with Working at Christmas by Irish singer-songwriter Paul Brady.
Okay, that's a new one that I've never come across. So after we finish this chat, I will be having a look for it and having a listen.
Google it.
Um,
Absolutely.
and I'll let you know what I think. So has that been one of your favourites for a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's been out probably about 8, 10 years or something. I have a Christmas playlist. I have a few. I have traditional, I have contemporary, and I have what you might call non-religious
Mhm.
Christmas playlist, and that all of those are on my non-religious Christmas playlist. Uh,
Okay. Mhm.
so yeah,
That sounds good.
bit of
Yeah,
a saddle when it comes to music.
no, that's you've potentially introduced me to another item for my Christmas playlist. Unless I listen to it and don't like it, we'll see. But we'll come to the next question about Christmas decorations. And what I'm
Mm.
interested in is your least favourite Christmas decoration.
Well, having said what I said earlier about never mentioning Santa Claus in my Christmas talks,
Mhm.
I'm going to be very controversial here
Go ahead,
and say
please.
Santa Claus. He's everywhere. He's on everything. But we never see a picture of the nativity scene. We never see angels generally. More and more we're becoming so much more secularized at Christmas. And I just get fed up with seeing Santa everywhere. I get fed up of hearing about him, talking about him. And so, yeah, my least favorite decoration, I've got to say. Sorry, children, if you're listening.
Yeah, potentially controversial, and we welcome correspondence in this podcast if anyone wants to write in and challenge Paul. But yeah, I know what you mean. You see Santa on everything, and yeah, that's not at the heart of Christmas, is it? Christmas is about Jesus.
Not at
And
all. Absolutely. And
yeah.
I think the thing is, if we as church leaders
Mhm.
or even as Christians aren't trying to remind people about the reason for the season, then it can just get swallowed up. And I think sometimes we just need to be unashamed
Mhm.
of what we believe and why we celebrate.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, there are lots of bits of Christmas that we can enjoy with the decorations and the food and those kind of traditions. But when it comes to the meaning of Christmas, yeah, we need to keep going back to what matters most, which leads us to the final question. Thinking about the account that the Bible gives us of Jesus coming into this world, coming to save us, I wonder your favorite person in the nativity account, not including Jesus, because obviously Jesus would be your favorite, but your favorite not including Jesus.
This didn't take any thinking about, I have to say. It's someone who is present in every Christmas story, every nativity scene, but he never spoke a word. And my favorite character in the nativity account is who I think is the unsung hero of Christmas, and that's Joseph. He, at a time where he could have renounced Mary, she could have been, stoned to death for adultery, she could have been ostracized, all sorts of things. But he was obedient to God, did what God asked him to do. He showed mercy, I think, at a time where culturally that wouldn't have been the done thing.
Mhm.
And he loved her, supported her and Jesus all through their life. And I just think, what was he going through as a man? She's pregnant by the Holy Spirit. What's all that about? I don't understand or get it. But he acted upon it. Um, and we talk about the wise men, the shepherds, all sorts of people at Christmas. But for me, the unsung hero of the nativity account is Joseph.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yes, and seeing his commitment and his courage when faced with that. Yeah, quite a big bit of news that he heard, and yet he was
He could have
faithful.
walked away. He
Yeah,
could have easily walked away.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I honor his
yeah,
character
yeah.
and his persistence and his commitment and his faith. We often talk about Mary's faith
Mhm.
at Christmas, but what about the faith that Joseph had in God, but also in her and in the
Yes.
son who was going to be the Messiah? Yeah, quite extraordinary, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Paul. It's been great to chat and to hear a bit more about your Christmas celebrations, and hope that you have a very happy Christmas. Your first Christmas off in a long time. Hope it's a very happy one.
Okay, thank you very much. Been good to talk.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!